Hello, it's Duncan. I'm looking at the Gilded Rose from scratch in a sort of TDD way again. Now, when Jack, who had suggested that we sort of start from scratch, watched the last video, he complained that I implemented printing. And he said, you really just sort of fell into the XP trap of doing a thing you can do rather than the thing the customer really wants. And that certainly wasn't my intention. I implemented printing because I figured that software that doesn't output anything might as well have not done anything. So I put in the printing because that was a way of giving the customer some value. Of course, actually the truth is that we only have tests at the moment, so the customer doesn't really have any actual value. And so in order to give our customer actual value, what we're going to do today is to implement loading and saving files and to actually print those out from the command line. So let's crack on. Now, if you saw the last or any of these episodes, you'll know that we've ended up with our stock list simply being a list of items, and our items being a data class in Kotlin with a name, a sell by date, and a quantity. Now, there are lots of ways we could persist. We could talk to a database, but I've thought long and hard about it, and I think we're going to load and save from a plain flat file for now, because all we have is a list of items, and that can be a flat file, and it would be useful until we get software actually running for our users to be able to just edit this file with a text editor. So we're not going to use the database, and also because it's just stuff we'd have to learn or show or something. We'd have to agree on a ORM or some way of mapping. So what we're going to do today is we're going to write directly to a tab separated file. Tab separated because we're unlikely to have tabs in the names or any of these bits, so that makes our encoding really easy, and we can just go ahead and do that stuff directly in Kotlin. So let's have a go. This is TDD, so we're going to write a test first, and we'll call it new Kotlin class, and we're going to call this persistence tests. Add them to Git, and we'll pull that over to the left hand side. I just like them being in the middle, really. Okay, so we want a test, and this is going to both load and save. There's not really much point in doing anything else, I think. I mean, we could separate them, but this will do. We're going to work at the level of files. We could work at some sort of other level, but we want to know that we can actually write to a file. So I think I'm going to say we're going to put this thing in a file. JUnit has something, I think it's tempdir, that will allow it to populate a parameter for us. I'm going to call that dir. Import that, and just to see if anything is working, we will print then dir, which won't fail, but we can run all the tests and see what we get. And if we get some output that shows the directory, var folders 89 la la la, so this injection of this tempdir has worked for us. Okay, so we are now going to create a file within that directory. So we'll say dir dot, well, actually we say file in that directory with a name of stock.tsv. That will do us. And now we're going to create some stock, so that is list of, and we need some items. Items have a name, a sell by date. We had trouble with those, didn't we? Let's go and take that there, and let's just move it out so we can not have to keep on sharing it. That'll do for now. Put it there. And then over here it won't make any sense really, so I can use that as sell by. But it would be better, we just give this a quality. It would be better if we could see what there was in some sort of way, and we happen to know it was October the 29th. Yeah. So just name that in a way that we can tell what it is. Won't do any harm to have another item. Always with the kumquat, same date because we can't be bothered. Actually, let's say October plus days 1, and they are higher quality. Okay, so what do we want to be able to do with this stock? We want to be able to say save. Why IntelliJ thinks it should complete that, do not know. Save escape. In this file, this stock that doesn't exist, so let's say we want one, and that will be fine. But we don't want this in the test. We're going to move it out here, and we can just say that's going to return nothing, but we're going to say to do that for now. That'll do. And now if everything is working, then if we were to load, goodness me, IntelliJ, why, load? None of those things. Load from this file, none of those things. Assert equals, import that. Okay, we want that to be a function. And we want that function to return list of item, and that again is not implemented. Okay, so if we run all our tests, everything but this one should be fine, but this one will fail with, as we suspected, an operation is not implemented. Right. Let us write first of all. So we want to take the file, we want a writer from it, and we want a buffered writer from that, because I think we need buffered writer to write lines, and then we're going to use that so that it is closed after we finish with it, and then we'll put that into a writer. And now we're going to say we're going to iterate over our stock. Other ways to think about this, but for now, stock dot for each item, and we want to take our writer. We want to append a line that is this item dot, not toString, we'll call it toLine, which doesn't exist yet. Let's make that exist. We didn't want a member function though, that was wrong, undo that. Now we could make a member function that was item to line, but this is really specific to loading and saving over here, and it makes more sense, I think, as an extension function, which will return the string. So we won't bother and data class with specific ways we input and output it in the same ways we didn't the way we printed it. Okay, so what should that string be? Well, it should be our name, and a tab character, and our sell by date, and a tab character, and our quantity. Simple enough. That would, if we folded that away, be on one line. Okay, so that's an implementation. We won't know whether it works or not, but we can at least get a little bit further now. So the thing that isn't implemented is this. So to load from a file, we are going to take the file. We are going to, I think there's a line sequence. There's a for each line. Use lines. There we are. So use lines will open the file and give us a sequence of lines and close the file outside that block. So we want to do that sequence of lines. We want to say lines dot, and we want to map those to, well, each line we want to make into a item. Again, that doesn't exist, but it'll come around. And then we need a list of all that. We need to take that sequence and make it into a list in order to return a list. That's the thing we need to return. IntelliJ complains doesn't know about this, so we will create an extension function string to item. Now, it's a little bit controversial adding this as an extension function string, but I don't feel bad about it, to be honest with you, because it flows nicely. Right, so here we concatenated the fields, and so over here we're going to split them from the string. So we are going to say val parts equals this dot split, and what we're going to split on is the single tab character, which I think we can do like that. That will give us, I think, an array. No, a list of strings, it turns out. Okay, that's fine. So we want to return an item, and its name is parts 1, because that's where we are, the first part, which is part 0. So that's where we put it in 2-line. The second part is our date. Now, given that we just use toString and not here, I suspect that if we take parts 1 and just say a local date, parse that, then that will work, but we'll find out. And our quality, which is the last thing, is parts 2, the third part, to uint, as we're using a uint. Okay. And awesomely that works. We can have a little tidy up in here. This can be an expression body. We might want to remember that it returns list item. Yes, that's fine. This can also be an expression body if we did a let, but I think that's okay. What are we going to do if the thing is badly formatted? The answer is that we're going to throw an exception. We will probably return to this at some point. The Java to Kotlin book that Nat Price and I wrote, we discuss error handling in quite a lot of detail. Maybe we'll get around to that. But in our scenario here, we're on hand if somebody messes this file up. But at the moment, it's only really us that's writing it. So, do we need to have a load and save that shows what happens with an empty file? Well, let's give that a go, shall we? So I suspect that it will all be fine, but we should know. So we're going to say we start from an empty list of item, and let's see whether that passes. And it does. Nice. So this might also be a little bit nicer if we were to say, if we were to make this the receiver. So this would be file save items. Is that what we want? Or do we want to pretend that a list of items knows how to save itself. I think maybe that's what we want. Let's try the other way around. So here we're going to take this thing, which is, and that could then be save. Stock save to file. I prefer stock to save to file than file save stock. So let's go with that. And load file, well, probably this is better on the file. So this would be file.load items. Oh, messed that up. Load items. Okay, so far so good. A couple of nice little tests. We don't think there's anything else we want to do with that, really, is there? It's quite self-explanatory. Before we go, though, we said that we were going to actually introduce a main and have it print. So let's start there. I think we'll put this at the very top level. So we'll say new class, and we'll put main. Add that. And then we want fun main. In fact, I think IntelliJ will complete that for us. Now we could parameterize. There are lots of things we could do, but I think the simplest thing is just going to be to say our file is file. Again, IntelliJ at the moment seems to be completing with just random things. I suppose because it's from Kotlin, it thinks that I prefer that to file. I don't, IntelliJ, I don't. Right, so Java file, and we're going to say in the current directory, I want stock.tsv. Okay. Now we can already print, which is good. So we are going to say file.load the thing that we thought of. What do we call it? It's still sitting around in our stock tests. No, our persistence tests. So we're going to have to take those files out of there. Let's put them into a file, which we're going to call persisting t. Add that. Take the things out of persistence test, which are these. Before we do, let's make that public and that public. Cut those from there, put them in persisting. We've lost the package declaration because I did the wrong thing. So let's just take the package out from there, copy that, persisting.kt. Put in the right package. Don't know why I made this public, because of course I just should have made them not private. Now our persistent tests are equally fine. Run all of our tests. Can't do that because main is still a little bit broken. Load items. And we had a printing thing, so we could say print out. So we could say stock.printout. Now, if you remember back, we needed to give this a date, which is now, so that's local date now. And this printout is returning, it's not actually doing the printing, it's returning a list of string. So we're going to take each one of those things and we're going to iterate over it. Each one is a line, and we're going to say println line. And that is equivalent to saying call println on each. Now if we run this, it will fail, and it will fail because there isn't a stock.tsv. So what do we want to do in that situation? Well, I think what we want to do is just create it. So let's say also the file that we just file object we just created, create new file. And now if we run that, what we get on our system out is 3rd of November, which is the date, which is the thing we put at the top of the printing, and no items. If we put some items in the file, we'll come back to how to do that next episode probably, but if we put some items in the file, then we can parse them. There is a problem though, and that is that I cannot persuade the IntelliJ to insert a tab character. So we're over to good old bbedit, and bbedit at least I think allows us to say don't auto expand tabs for now. So we will have banana tab, check the characters there, it is on 2021 11:03, which is today, and the quality is 42. We have some kumquat 2021 12:03, we'll make that a month ahead with a quality of 101. So if we save that, I hope IntelliJ didn't get mess with it, just run that again, and there we have our output, which is splendid. Now of course we show this to our customer, and our customer says, oh, that's all very well seeing that there are no days, but I actually want to see, now we actually have working software, I can see that I might have asked the number of days, but I also want to see the sell by date. I won't bother you with that, but this is the magic of working software, that our customers are able to give us feedback very quickly about whether we're doing the right thing. Okay, so now we have implemented loading and saving. We can load at the very least from main. Next time I think we will look at putting some sort of web interface on this so that we can view that in a web browser, and that will give us an interface to add items, maybe remove items, before we get on to how we mess with the quality of items and update them over time. Hope you enjoyed this. If you have, then you should probably enjoy Nat Price of my book, which is Java to Kotlin Refactoring Guidebook. That certainly covers lots of material that we're covering here in terms of how we would structure a Kotlin program. Thank you very much.